Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. There is something powerful about reaching a milestone, not because time has passed, but because a dream has survived. Today, as we mark the 5th anniversary of Shiulimala Academy, I want to begin by expressing sincere gratitude to everyone who has been part of this journey. Our respected scholars, honorable guardians, dedicated well-wishers, and our beloved students, both those who started with us in the beginning and those who joined along the way. 5 years ago, Shiulimala was not created simply as an educational platform. It was created as a response to the question that disturbed every thoughtful heart. Why is the world becoming more advanced yet less human? Why is information increasing yet wisdom disappearing? Why are we progressing outwardly while collapsing inwardly? If we look around today, we see a world exhausted by conflict. In some places, violence is visible. Wars, bombing, occupation, destruction. In other places, violation is hidden. Poverty, manipulation, exploitation, and the slow killing of dignity. And across the globe, whether it is Kashmir, Palestine, Arakan, or beyond, one reality is common: the human being is no longer feeling safe. But perhaps the most tragic part is this human knowledge. Something that could heal the world is often being used to harm it. And Bangladesh is not outside this reality. Yes, we speak of progress, we speak of economic growth, but if we listen carefully to the streets, the homes, the hearts of people, we hear a different story. One of anxiety, struggle, and uncertainty. Daily necessities are becoming heavier burdens. Social safety feels fragile. And when we open the news, we often witness the same painful patterns repeating themselves. The conditions of our youth is especially alarming. They have talent, they have energy, they have potential. Yet many of them feel emotionally empty because they are unsure why they are living, what they are chasing, what the future are they building. A society can survive financial hardship, but when a generation loses meaning, the crisis becomes far more dangerous. And within this wider crisis, the situation of women remains one of the most sensitive and challenging realities. Many women are still denied the opportunity to grow intellectually and creatively. Some are restricted by harmful tradition, others are pressured by modern ideologies that call it empowerment. Yet reduce women into economic productivity alone. Both extremes take something away: dignity, balance, and purpose. At this point, we must ask ourselves honestly, what exactly is the root of our problems? Because the more we observe, the more we realize that this is not only a political crisis, it is not only an economic crisis, it is a crisis of thought, a crisis of education, a crisis of identity, and ultimately a crisis of akhlaq. We are living in a time where many young people know the world, but they do not know themselves. They recognize global voices, but are disconnected from their own intellectual legacy. They can memorize information, but cannot answer the simplest question: what is the purpose of my life? Yet, our history tells us something different. This land has never been empty. Our roots are deep. Our language is rich. Our heritage is alive with dignity, refinement, scholarship, and civilization. From the intellectual tradition of Bengal to the legacy of Sonargaon to the historical depth of Dhaka, our civilization carries stories of learning and leadership. And our women's history is not weak. Our past carries examples of honorable women, women of intellect, vision and influence who shaped society with dignity and strength. So, Shiulimala Academy began with a simple belief. If we can reconnect a generation with knowledge, values and identity, we can rebuild the future. This is why Shiulimala stands upon 4 core principles: reviving knowledge and civilization, rebuilding thought and worldview, reviving values and akhlaq, reconnecting history with identity. These are not slogans for us. They are responsibilities. Through our academic programs, we are trying to build a learning culture that is not limited to a certificate. We want to produce students who think deeply, understand clearly, and live meaningfully. Our course begins with the foundations of purpose and worldview before moving into history, society, politics, economics, philosophy, and Islamic intellectual sciences such as hadith and tafsir methodologies. Because we believe the knowledge is not a decoration of the mind, knowledge is the construction of the soul. But we also believe something equally important: education without akhlaq is incomplete. That is why Shiulimala emphasizes akhlaq, humility, discipline, and spiritual growth, because without these qualities, intelligence becomes harmful. Beyond formal courses, our study circles and university programs are expanding across regions. Our goal is to revive intellectual conversation among young women so they can speak with confidence, think with clarity, and contribute with wisdom. For children, we have developed special history programs so that the next generation grows up with pride rather than confusion. We want them to know their civilization, their cities, and their stories. This is why we introduced initiatives like the Shohor project, where children learn about historical cities through storytelling, because cities are not only places, they are the foundation of civilization. Alongside education, our research and writing works continues through Shiulimala Journal, a unique platform in Bengali led entirely by women. It represents a growing intellectual space where young writers and scholars contribute ideas, translation, and reflections. We also publish our magazine Shanmashik Shiulimala to communicate the message of civilization in a language that reaches thoughtful mind. And through Shiulimala publication, we aim to develop meaningful literature for women and children, literature that does not merely entertain but strengthens thought and awakens the heart. However, a civilization is not only built by a classroom and books. It is also built by an art, culture, and beauty. That is why Shiulimala invests in aesthetics and creativity through meaningful art, photography, through cultural celebration rooted in spirituality, and through efforts to revive refined taste and cultural depth. And finally, we believe that knowledge becomes truly meaningful when it leads to compassion. Through our welfare activities, we have tried within our limited capacity to stand beside those who are often forgotten: orphans, street children, slum communities, blind schools, the elderly, and the poor. From distributing food and water to winter clothing, medical camps, flood relief, and Eid programs, our goal is not to do charity for publicity, but to serve creation for the pleasure of the Creator. Because we believe service is not an optional part of faith, it's reflection. And as we look back on these 5 years, we understand something deeply. Shiulimala is no longer just a project. It is no longer only an institution. It has become a trust, an amana. And an amana must be carried with sincerity, patience, and responsibility. As we step into our 6th years, we ask you for your prayers, your guidance, and your continued support. May Allah accept this humble effort, bless this journey, and allow Shiulimala Academy to continue serving as a source of knowledge, dignity, and renewal, both for Bangladesh and for humanity. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.